the hubcap that falls off the car and rolls away. It's all the footsteps. It's anything a character touches, sits on, manipulates.
Foley is named after sound effect artist Jack Foley, who started enhancing background noises during the golden age of Hollywood.
There you go.
Precise art matches sound with picture.
Very often, whatever you're seeing on screen is not at all what we're using. We're trying to fool the ear, believing we're using whatever it is you see.
Lighter. Jody gave me a tour of her soundstage.
Look at your shoe collection.
Every girl's dream, huh?
Maybe not these shoes.
Not the old men's shoes.
And showed me a few tricks of the trade.
So fun.
These are just some balls I got at the drugstore. We use them for gush sounds. Most younger people don't know what this is, but it went on the back of a bicycle.
Oh, bike rack. Yeah.
But it has a good hinge sound.
Sounds like an old gate.
Right. And if you resonate it on this wood, it's much louder and it takes on a wooden creaky sound. And
Creaky door. So wait, you can recreate snow? I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot.
we just have to do a few footsteps here and there, or we have to sweeten the sound. We'll use a box of cornstarch to simulate the squeaking.
Boots in the snow. I hear it.
Well, how about we give you the true test of a Foley artist? We have you try some footsteps, so you'll hear beep, beep, beep.
All right, I'm ready, TJ. Let's do it. Okay, let's see. Hope I wasn't running.
Now we can add the shackles.
Okay.
Nice. Now we can hear them both back together.
Okay. I feel like my job here is done.
Done great work today.
Pass the test. Jody tells me there's no real formal training when it comes to becoming a Foley artist. It's just working with other Foley artists to learn the trade. It really is a craft. And it's kind of like playing and having fun at the same time, guys. It's really good.
Natalie, was that the show, The Enemy Within? You
Yes,
were doing?
The Enemy Within on NBC. That's
Did-
one of their
did they
shows
keep
that
your
work
take?
on. I don't know if they used my take or not. I was a little fast walking with my take.
That is so cool.
I just assumed that stuff was computerized. No. But it was.
I love the snow
Which
one,
is
the
what's
crunch.
so great about it. It's still all
It's
done by
natural.
hand. And
That is the coolest thing, that it's still done by hand, right? And in this
Yeah.
era of so much synthetic, as a musician, we know too that there's a lot of synthetic sounds, but there's certain things and qualities, right? So without further ado, let me stop sharing my screen so we can get to seeing you. And ta-da! Everybody say
Hi,
hi.
everybody. So nice to be here.
Hello.
Hi.
So, okay, first of all, congratulations on the Emmy and several nominations that
Thank you.
that you've earned. And I have to ask, was it a complete shock? What was that experience like? Was it something that as a young kid you envisioned happening one day?
When I started doing Foley, it was a goal. It was a dream. I mean, I always wanted to do really great work, and it's really nice to be recognized, and so when we got nominated for Deadwood, it was completely shocking, exciting, thrilling. We got all dressed up. We went to the Emmys, and we were up against big shows, like 24, like really big action shows. And Deadwood is very subtle sounds, very beautiful, like wood creaking, horse hooves. But there was so much Foley in it because they didn't play big music or big action scenes. So everything was Foley. The pours of the bottles into the glasses were really just beautiful sounds. Leather creaking, horse and carriage creaking. So they recognized that the amount of work we put into those beautiful sounds, and we won an Emmy, and it was amazing. It was super exciting. They took all kinds of pictures of us. I mean, it was exactly what you would think it would feel like. It was really
Surreal,
cool.
right? Surreal. Do you have the Emmy? Can you show us?
I do, sure. Right here.
Wow. It's gorgeous.
Can you guys see it? And it's really heavy. It's like so heavy. And we had to carry these around all night. After we won it, they have a big dinner and you have to carry these around all night. They were heavy, but really cool. It was really neat.
Woke up a little sore.
Exactly. More muscles.
But I would imagine, okay, the physicality of your job. Do you have days where you wake up and you're like, why am I sore? Because you're just in the moment so much and you just grab and go kind of process?
You have no idea how physical our job is. It is so physical. We sometimes, you know, like if there's a car crash and we have to like a car door falls off or whatever, we have huge car doors on our stage. And I have to, and I'm only 5'1", right? So I have to get down on the ground, pick up this huge car door up here, lift it, and then it goes beep, 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 and you have to like slam it onto the ground and things like that. You know, huge wood floors we have to put down and huge metal grates when we have to walk on metal or walk on wood. So it's very physical.
You're doing it. You're not like, hey, an assistant,
Nope.
Like you guys are the ones doing the brunt work. And
that's correct. So me and the partner that I'm working with, we work together to create, you know, I mean, to grab those props and, you know, we help each other because it's really physical. And then we're walking footsteps for half the day. So like when you see a character on screen walking, we have a million different shoes. We have like heels and dress shoes and sneakers and tap shoes. We have to do tap scenes. We have, we do Zoe's Infinite Playlist, which is on right now on TV. And that's a lot of dance scenes. We have to do whatever they're wearing, whatever shoes they're wearing. We have to do the dance scenes for that. So it's very physical, but really fun.
You wear a Fitbit?
I do. Yes.
It works. That's cool. That's so cool. So Kylie will let us know if there's certain questions coming in, but I'm going to keep going with mine.
Sure.
Where did it
there
start?
are a couple of questions, Amy, if you don't mind.
Perfect.
Okay, so we have a question from Cindy. What point in your life did you decide to do this, or a turning point in your life that made you want to pursue being a Foley artist?
Okay. Well, I was living in Pennsylvania and I was a singer and was always into performing, loved it. And decided to move to California. And when I moved here, my brother had a post-production company, my brother Tony, and he asked me if I wanted to learn Foley. And when I saw it, I was just, I was so excited and so ready to learn. And he taught me, and it takes a long time to learn. It does. It takes a lot of patience. I mean, to get really good, it takes several years, but you know, but it's just it's a really patient process learning. But at that point, I didn't sing anymore. I realized this is the career I wanted, and I loved it because it was behind the scenes, which was really speaking to me at the time. I really just kind of wanted to be behind the scenes, but still super creative, making really great sounds for TV and movies.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then we do have a question from Zoe. What has been the strangest object you've used to make a sound?
The strangest object we use is like when we have to walk in mud, we put down like a mound of dirt, and then we use you know, a car chamois that you like wipe your car with. They're like orange, they're big chamois, they're leather. We soak it so it gets really goopy, and we put that chamois over the dirt and we walk in it, and it sounds like glup, glup, glup. Like we use that the whole time we did Deadwood. We walked on mud. It was almost probably half the show was mud. So I think that's the coolest sound we do. And horse hooves are pretty cool too. Horse hooves are really neat that we use coconuts. And you could see Jody in that clip using her coconuts to make sounds for horse hooves.
Is the goal to get it in one take because of time and the pressure and the deadline?
Yeah, the goal is to get it in one take. And when you get really good, you can do it in maybe one, but it usually takes two, sometimes three. Because the first time you do it, because we're only watching down the show. So say we're doing a TV show. We're watching down that show one time, and then we go in and we do it. So we have to really when we're watching it down, we have to really take note of all the details that we have to do and kind of memorize all those, like, you know, not perfectly, but it takes a trained eye and ear to realize what sounds we're going to have to make. We're watching people's footsteps when we watch it down, like what they're wearing, if they're wearing heels or sandals or flip-flops. So we make a lot of mental notes. And then when we go in and do it, usually the first take, it's for almost like a trial run. And then the second take, we usually get it. But a lot of times the first take, if it's if it's a cup down or something that's a little easier, we'll get it the first time. But, you know, if it's a really designy sound, it usually takes 2 or 3 times.
That's so cool. Is there, I would imagine you're always working with a partner, like you said, because you got to pick stuff up. And that prep that you talked about with the analyzing the scene, how long are those scenes usually? I mean, it obviously depends on how much Foley is in it, but do you usually do the prep right before you're going to record it because you'll forget if you don't, or?
Okay, so what we do is cue by cue, not scene by scene. So for instance, if somebody is picking up a cup, drinking, and then setting the cup down, that's 3 different cues, 3 different takes. The first take, it goes beep, 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 and we pick up the cup. As we're watching it with picture, we do it right with picture. We pick the cup up. Then we go out to record. Then beep, 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 and we take our cup like this and we go, and we over exaggerate the sound because you don't want to hear, right? You want to hear like a slur. We do that, and then it goes out to record. And then beep, 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 we set the cup down. So it's 3 takes. So it's per prop. You know, like if you're doing a scene where a horse and carriage are running, right? So the first take will be the horse hooves. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. And then the second take, we go back and we design, and it usually takes a lot of prep work. We'll design a carriage sound. Usually we'll take a rickety chair and we'll put some like leather creaking on it. Like we have some really cool, like cool leather, like added. And my partner will do something like that. I'll do the creaky chair in the dirt and just move it around like this. And it sounds like a horse and carriage. It's amazing. So when you put the 2 together, the horse hooves and the carriage sound, you have this beautiful horse and carriage sound. And we did that a lot for Deadwood. It's better to do it at the same time with 2 people recording on the same track instead of it just depends, right? It depends on the time, right? If we're strapped for time, if it's a super heavy show and we're like up against the wire, we will do it together. Or sometimes we'll do 1 track of leather, 1 track of, you know, some creaky chair, 1 track of chair moving in the dirt so that it sounds like it's moving through space. Yeah. So it all depends on the time we have.
There are a lot of good questions. Cindy wants to know, have you ever been stuck on how to make a noise?
Many times, many. And it's not just when I was starting out. When I was starting out, I was clueless, literally. Like you have to really intern with people that are good. So you have to knock on some studio doors, ask if you can intern, ask if they'll teach you things, and be, you know, just really passionate about it and willing to learn and just take it all in like a sponge. And then eventually you learn, and then certain sounds you already know what to use ahead of time. You get really good at that. But I still get stumped. And when you do, that's what you have, a partner and your mixer, and the 3 of you kind of collaborate and just talk about like, well, what do you think we could use? Well, what do you think we could use? And then next thing you know, we have it figured out. But it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimenting. You know, some cues can take, you know, 15 minutes to figure out how to do something or to set it all up, or, you know, so.
Yeah. There's so many great questions. And just so you guys know, Zoe, those of you that are generating these questions, if you want to ask them yourself and show yourself on camera and have some interaction, by all means. Kylie and I don't have to be doing that, so feel free. Cindy, did you want to ask your question about the mentor?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you had any great mentors that you met.
You know, when we started doing Foley, I was in my 20s, and my brother taught me, first of all, he was my biggest mentor. He taught me everything I needed to know. But then I had to go out and meet other Foley artists, because everybody has tricks of the trade. Everybody has different tricks, different styles, different ways they walk footsteps, different ways they do their props. So when you knock on doors at studios and you start watching the way other people work, you get a lot of different tips. So it's really good to learn from a lot of different people. So I had a lot of mentors. That's a good question. I didn't have just one, but my brother was my first mentor. And then I interned with a lot of people that were really experienced and had been doing it for 20 years. And then once I got pretty good, I started venturing out to other studios and getting jobs and working with a lot of different Foley artists. So I got a lot of different, techniques from them.
You had to go through this starving artist experience phase of just meeting people. And it's the reason why we call it starving artist, because you're not getting paid right away. They're not just
so much. I probably, worked low wage for a couple years before I started making any money at it. And then to actually make a living at it, it takes a long time. But it's worth it. It's really worth it. It's so much fun and really just very fulfilling. I love it.
Have you ever thought of like giving up because it was so hard?
Many times, yes.
What is the challenge? If you had to pinpoint the biggest challenge that might make you question, I don't know if I keep going with this, what would that be? Is it the
okay? What that would be, that's a really good question. What that would be, and I know this answer like immediately, is when you're starting out, and even now, when a sound doesn't sound good and you're not making the sound that the mixer wants to hear, because the mixer is in the other room. He is actually adding, some low end, some high end, like he's manipulating the sound. So he's just as much of an artist as us. The team is working together to make sure that the sound sounds good. Well, how many times I've heard, no, that doesn't, nah, try something different. Nah, that's not, no, that shoe doesn't work. No, that prop doesn't work. Try something different. And then you have to like, kind of, just experiment and try things. And you have to really be okay with patience. And it's not rejection. It's not personal. It's just whether or not the sound you're making is creating the sound that sounds good for the picture, right? So it's not personal, but it's hard to not take it personally when you're learning, because you want to be really good right away. And, and it's a process.
And there's so many different perspectives, right? Different perspectives, and it's subjective. So you might be like, well, I think it's good, but they're like, no, it doesn't sound good.
Yes. We laugh all the time, because we literally laugh about it, because we will get into like a standoff, like, no, I like the sound. Well, it's not working in here. Well, I like it though, but I can't do anything different. And then he's like, just try something different. And then you have to let go of all of your, your ego, and you just have to go, okay, I'm going to try something different, and you just experiment. But it's hard to hear no a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of students with us tonight that are musicians, and they like recording music. It's the same thing. Sound engineers, they're going to give you that fresh set of ear perspective that the hard thing to do when there's that tug. Margaret, do you want to ask your question, or do you want it to be read? I can't see it. I'll go ahead and read Margaret's question.
Okay.
What does it look like to get a job, especially starting out? Do you apply, or is it a connections thing? Did you go to school for it, for film?
Gotcha. I did not go to school for film. I actually went to school and got my bachelor's in psychology. So, but I always, like I said, I was a singer and I always wanted to perform, but not acting. I wanted to be behind the scenes. So when I moved to California and I found this job, my brother taught me this craft. It was like everything I always wanted. it was so amazing because you get to perform and be behind the scenes, because I didn't want to be in front of camera. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question?
What does it look like to get a job? What does that look like? Got you.
So in our business, there is no like applying or application necessarily, I don't think. What we do, our resume is IMDb pretty much. So, and you know, when you do it a number of years, it's a really small community. So people know who you are. Like I pretty much know every Foley artist out there. If not personally, then by name. You know, we kind of all know who each other, we know each other very well.
And the IMDb is basically your resume. It's your resume.
IMDb is like a resume for the, yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. I always like to ask questions, so that's probably why I have a lot of questions. But
good.
It's just the podcast to be coming out. But could you like describe like the different jobs on your team?
I'm sorry, I missed that part. Can I describe what?
Sorry. Could you tell us about the different jobs like on your team? Like what different people do on your team?
Sure. So we have a sound mixer, and when you were watching that video, that was TJ, the one that was moving the faders. He is the one that records our sound on Pro Tools. Okay. So it's he records it digitally. We walk footsteps. The Foley artists, actually, me and my partner, we walk all the footsteps in the show. So we have like 100 pairs of shoes, like different kinds of shoes. We have thin, skinny heels. We have thick, chunky heels. We have chunky boots. We have big, like motorcycle boots. We have thin sneakers like Converse. We have thick sneakers. We have tap shoes. We have cleats. You know, we go to thrift stores to buy all this stuff, or we go to like, you know, we've gone to estate sales. We've gone to swap meets, you know, any place where we can get things that are really different and unique and cool sounding. So yard sales are really big. So we've gathered over the years all kinds of props for our stage. We have all kinds of shoes. And so we start first, the Foley artists start with all of the, believe it or not, we have cloth. This is how we watch down a show, is in front of a microphone, we have cloth. And because when you're walking, you can hear cloth moving. You can hear your arms moving. You can hear legs rubbing together. You can hear, when you turn your head, you can hear your cloth moving, right? So we go through and we watch a show and we move our cloth to their movements. So if they're walking, we go like this with cloth in front of a microphone. If they go like this with their arm, we go like this with our cloth. So, and it's, you really learn how to read what they're going to do. You know, it takes a while, but you learn that. And then after all the cloth is done and you watch the show, we start with all the footsteps. We take character by character, action by action, not scene by scene, but action by action. There's cues for all of it to tell us when they're going to walk, when they're going to stop. And then after all the footsteps are done, we start on props. And props, we gather all the props. So we have a cue sheet with all the different props we're going to need. We gather them all and then we start. And sometimes we do cues together. If it's a really, like I said, the horse and carriage, like the carriage sounds we can do together.
Is the sound mixer just pulling up the scene for you that you're going to do? And he's kind of, you're all on the same page with that?
We're all on the same page. That's correct. Yeah. He will show us the cue usually. Or sometimes we don't, we'll just say, now we'll just go into record. We don't even watch it first. We'll just try it on a trial run, but sometimes he'll show it to us. And we listen to what's on the movie. So if the woman's heels are real tappy, we listen to that. And as long as we can hear it, we can match that sound. We want to try to match it because when they play the movie, they're going to use us as a, almost, if they want to use production sound, they're going to use us as an underlying sound to really enhance it. And sometimes when they shoot movies and TV, they don't, you can't hear the sound. The microphone is for the vote, it's for the dialogue. It's not on the feet. The microphone is not on the props in the hands. It's on the dialogue. That's the most important. That's what they want to capture out in the field. So that's why Foley is super awesome, because it enhances all the sounds that you can't hear out in the field. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And also when they send it overseas and they want to dub it in German, right? They're going to take out every single sound because the dialogue is attached to the sound. So they take out all the dialogue, all the sounds go away. So that's when Foley replaces all those sounds.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Weaver, do you want to ask your question? Do you want to unmute yourself and go for it?
Hello, Anita.
Hi.
My question was, what like major film studios have you worked with? Like example, Paramount or like Universal?
I've been doing this a long time. I worked, I started off at Warner. Well, I started off with my brother, which is he had his own production company. And then I went and worked a couple small studios for many years. And then I started at Warner Brothers. And then Warner Brothers, you know, once you start at the big studios, a lot of times the other big studios hear about you and then they want to hire you. So it's very word of mouth. Like you have to really work hard and be you have to have good work ethic. And if you do, all the studios kind of get to know your name and then they start calling you. So I worked at Universal, Paramount, Sony. I worked at Sony for almost 20 years. During the pandemic, they kind of closed our stage over there. So then I started working. I worked at Think Tank for many years, but then I started working there a lot more. So yeah, I worked at a lot of the major ones. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cool. And every studio you work at is different. Like so their props sound different. Their floors sound different. You have to really get used to them. So, you know.
That's cool. That would add interest because it's like different venues, right? That you're.
It totally is. Yes, exactly.
Senna, do you want to ask your question? It's a good question. All of you guys are generating so many great questions.
Such great questions.
So Senna says that she, her Wi-Fi isn't working great, but her question is, what was your favorite sound to make and what was the hardest?
The hardest. Ooh, that's a good one. I think the hardest sounds to make are when we have like, say a house is falling down or there's an explosion or something like that. And we have to look at the picture and we have to figure out exactly what's falling off of the house. Or if a car crashes, we have to figure out exactly what's coming off of the car. And we have to make the sounds of not only hubcaps, we have to make the sounds of little nuts and bolts hitting the ground. And like if a house is burning and it's falling, wood's falling down, we have to do, you know, huge pieces of wood hitting the ground and then little pieces of plywood. And then we get dirt and we just like drop the dirt onto some wood so that it sounds like dirt falling and sawdust. And so those are always really hard scenes to do. Those ones where there's like big explosions, crashes, they're super fun. They're super fun and really rewarding because when you listen to it back, it sounds so good, but really
They're
lot
complex,
of work.
A lot of layers.
A lot of good. That's exactly right. A lot of layers. Yeah.
When you're getting frustrated, I would imagine you could take your frustration out.
You totally can.
Right.
You absolutely can. Absolutely. And it's like, and like you said, the layers, there can be like 8 layers, like 8 tracks long of just like one sound, one piece of, you know, one little 10 frames of wood and debris falling. It could take like, you know, 8 tracks of layers to get those sounds. And what was the other question? The most enjoyable, was it?
Your favorite?
My favorite sound. My favorite sound is always leather creaks. Always, 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 always leather creaks. They're so much fun. Any kind of like really cool, like I said, I was showing you the leather, which is, I just think just such a pretty sound. When we do cop belt, I love that sound. We do, we take a doorknob, well, you know, that's a little trick of the trade, the doorknob. And we have some handcuffs that we got, and we just kind of like, for when the cop is walking. So it's very like the leather sounds, leather creaks are very enjoyable. And so are like door hinge creaks. I love those. I can show you those a little later if you want. I can show you some props we use. But any kind of creaks or wood chair creaks, leather creaks, I love those.
That might be cool if we do. We were gonna do a game, you guys, and like all of us pretend we're Foley artists. That might be cool. When you, Anita, when you stop sharing your screen, like we'll take ourselves off the screen and we'll make sounds. Is what we were thinking we could do, you guys. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know if you're all down to do that, but it would be kind of fun. But there is a sound game that's just gonna take like 2 minutes that I think you guys would like to do because it's really interactive and using the chat. Kylie, were there any other questions at this time though before?
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah. We'll still have time for questions, I promise. But go ahead. Yeah, Cindy, go.
Yeah, I remember now. Okay. What advice would you give to students wanting to go into your career as a Foley artist?
My advice would be to network, to knock on doors, like literally call Sony post-production human resources or Sony post-production their general number and ask if you can intern, if you can visit the stage. Call Warner Brothers, ask if you could visit the stage and sit with different Foley artists. So visit, and there's tons of small studios in town, like the Think Tank, like other places like that you can, if you look up post-production studios, I mean, there are so many in this town, and you can literally go in there and say, hey, can I speak to somebody about interning for Foley? And if they're willing and able and have the time, they can say, yeah, come back Thursday at 1 o'clock and you can stay for a couple hours. And that's pretty much what, when I worked at Sony, we had people come in and intern all the time, just stay for the day. And we would let them, stay for the day or hours and just watch us, and see if they like it first, and they can see the work it takes and the creativity involved, like how cool it is that, so that's the advice I would give. Yeah.
I'm going to do that one day.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
I want to do that. I had asked Anita earlier. I'm like, can we switch jobs for a day? Job swatch. It's just it's so cool, right, guys? It's like you're playing. You're in a playground.
It's a playground. It's a playground. Literally, like you have to get dirt. We wear sweatpants and t-shirts every day. That's what we wear because we get so dirty and we're always playing in the dirt, and we wear really quiet clothes because we do before we start the show, I said we do that cloth pass, right, where we're moving around the cloth. We don't want to hear cloth after that, so we wear really silent clothes, like really silent sweatpants, silent t-shirts. So we even have to like pick our clothes that we walk Foley in to not make noise. Like this is too noisy. So we want everything to be super soft and quiet. So, and we get so dirty. We play in the mud, we play in the dirt, we play in the cornstarch when we have to walk in snow. We have a big water pit on our stage that we have to get deep, dig our arms into if we're swimming. We have swimming scenes, or like if somebody's, diving, we have to, so we're soaked sometimes at the end of the day. Yeah.
So this career might be for you guys if you love to play, get dirty and you're athletic. And then you also, if you like people, right? And you working with people. And you like shopping at thrift stores is what I'm getting to.
And you like shopping at thrift stores, yeah.
The budget.
It's funny when I go to the thrift store I usually go to the Goodwill to shop for my shoes, and I'm the only one trying on shoes for sound. I'm like literally walking like this, like trying to see what sounds the shoes make. I've got big men's shoes on my feet. People are like, oh boy. What is she doing?
I was already thinking about that. Like you just picking up objects and shaking them or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So
Yep.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
your
just
world.
real quick, so sorry, Miss Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're helping.
I was just going to say that Brienne did have a question a little while back. Sorry, Brienne, but I didn't know if you wanted to ask her.
Yes, please. Thank you for catching that, Kylie.
I'm using my mom's computer. My link was.
That's Jillian. Jillian. Hi, Jillian.
Hi, Jillian.
I asked, do you still sing?
Karaoke. That's about it. And singing was always just fun for me. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do the rest of my life. It was just really fun. It was a really creative outlet for me. And but when I found Foley, that was it. That was the end. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to get good at it. And it was just really, it's really fun. That's all I can say. It's just a really fun job.
Have you always had a strong work ethic? Has that been consistent for you?
Yes, it has. It has. I do have a really strong work ethic. I try to, I try to always be on time. I don't cancel jobs. When I make a commitment, I stick with it. And in this business, that's a real big deal. So, people can count on me, which is really nice,
So on that note, what is your work schedule like?
That's a good, during, not during this pandemic, of course, everything slowed down a little bit, but during the regular season, there's so much Foley work that if I wanted to, I could work a day shift and then a night shift. So I could work there's abundant work, but it's very difficult to do. So I usually just work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. Sometimes
I remember
weekends,
you telling me recently you had to, because of the pandemic, you guys were rushing to try to catch up. So it was a 7 days a week, many
That's
hours.
right. Yeah, because, and it's seasonal, like our job is kind of seasonal, like the summer times. And it's a little different now with Netflix and all that. They kind of run through the summer, but like when it was just, doing shows for like ABC, NBC, CBS, it was very much the summer was hiatus. We didn't work during the summer. So we would get June to September off. And so we had to make sure we made that money so that we could work, we could make it through the summer. But yeah, so it can get hectic when, like, through the pandemic, we weren't working a lot. Well, then this whole huge amount of work came in. So I took it. So yeah, I was working like 7 days a week, but it's not always like that.
And Margaret, do you want to ask your question? She has a great question too about the complexity and the layer.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure if her audio is working. Margaret says, or asks, all those sounds recorded separately, and are the sounds recorded separately and put together in scenes where there's a lot of noise? When there's a lot going on, kind of like we were saying earlier with the crash, like a roof falling down or a building.
Yeah. Yes. So what we do is we focus on one sound at a time. So if it's dirt debris that's falling off a building, or if there's a tornado and it's kicking up dirt, we start with the dirt debris, and we will just take a whole mound of dirt in our hands, and we go like this and just slowly drop it into the dirt pit. And we have a big dirt pit on our stage that we walk in and stuff, and we just slowly drop it onto there, and it sounds like it's dirt spray. And then we take another track and we do wood pieces falling. If it's a building burning, we do wood pieces falling. We do a third track of maybe drywall falling. We do a fourth track of maybe wood creaking when the house is starting to fall in, right? Like the wood creaks. And then our mixer mixes all of those separately, and then we send it to what's called a pre-mix stage. After we're done with it, it goes to pre-mix. They take the Foley and then they mix all the tracks together and it sounds really beautiful. Then it goes to the big stage, which is called the dub stage. That's where they mix the entire, the Foley, the music, the dialogue, the sound effects, the ambience, like the birds chirping. Somebody does all those sounds on a computer, and they mix them all together.
If you think about how many shows and films there are, there's such a need for, you know, any of you students that love sound, audio.
Oh my gosh.
This opens up a whole nother, you know, because I know there's a lot of students that love the music, but I don't know if I thought you'd be such a great guest, just because even for musicians, sounds when you're trying to capture a mood, you know, it just makes you walk around the world and start to have a whole nother perspective, you know.
A whole other, that's right. You start noticing everything, the way people walk, the way their shoes sound, the way that their clothes make noise when they walk. If you notice everything.
The whole idea is you want the person to be in the scene,
right,
experiencing it. So do you ever watch a film, because you do all this analyzing and breaking?
I had the same question. I wondered if you watched a film and ever just thought back to like what you were doing during what made that noise.
Absolutely. I mean, like all the time. And the thing, you know, if the Foley is, if it's Foley is not supposed to really be, it's not supposed to stand out, right? So when you hear a cop belt and the cop belt is moving with the cop, it's not supposed to be the cop belt scene, right? He's not, the cop belt's not the star of the scene, the cop is. So they mix it so it's nice and like lying under this, under the dialogue and under the footstep. You know, even footsteps are played pretty low. So if Foley stands out, it's usually because it's like a point in the show, right? It's it's
like a car crash.
That's right. That's when Foley stands out. When you start hearing hubcaps flying, and so we don't do the actual crash. We don't do the actual car hitting. That they do that on a computer. That's like a big, almost like explosion sound, right? We do the sounds of things falling off the car, flying off the car, hubcaps and wheels and tires skidding. We can do that kind of sound. And you know, it's if you're hearing those when you're doing Foley, and I do hear it, I will think, oh, I wonder what they used for that. I'll bet they used this, you know, because there's tricks of the trade that a lot of us use the same kinds of things for sounds. Yeah.
Ever since I saw a documentary about Foley artists, I keep on thinking, oh, I wonder what they used for that sound or something.
That's so, yes, it does. It changes your thinking. It really does.
Do you ever have, is there a film that you wished you did, where you watched and went, just like an actor goes, man, I wish I got that part or that role? Is there a film where you went, why couldn't I have done the Foley for that?
Spider-Man. Yeah. Like, or just like Batman, like those really like, those cool, you know, big sound movies. Love them. But I also love the movies that are really, that have very subtle sounds, very, very, very beautiful, subtle is the only word I could think of. Sounds, you know,
which might be a good time to show that scene. Hold that
Speaking of subtle,
because there's a scene, you guys. There's a student, Milena. I'm not sure if she was able to make it tonight, but she'll watch this, and I wanted to show you guys because it's subtle. It's exactly what she's talking about, and then she can kind of tell you like what she used, which might be cool. If you guys have seen the movie Midnight Sun, I'll play that next. Okay, this is a really short, just 30 seconds. You guys listen, and in the chat, what would be cool for you guys to do too is try to just really quick put whatever you think was happening that she has to try to put the sounds to, you know. So feel free to do that if you'd like. Let's listen to this start of the scene.
I still cannot believe that we grew up in the same town since we were younger.
I never seen you out riding your bike or
out with a lemonade stand, and I would have bought your lemonade.
No, you wouldn't have. I don't like lemonade.
Who would like lemonade?
Me.
You know, I know the real story, right? You and your dad are in the witness protection program, and you have both testified against a mobster.
Very close, but the truth is, I've been sent here to monitor you, right? And I've been given specific instructions to never.
Okay. So you guys feel free to show yourself too and ask Anita if you like about that scene, like what was going on. And Anita, do you remember how you made the sounds for those? Subtle.
Yes. So let's just start with like, you know, if there's any kind of like sound of like when they're sitting on a train, you're going to hear a little bit of creaks of the train. And, you know, we can put like, say like we can put like a leather chair on top of a car door and just kind of like move the leather around. Like, I don't know if you can see my chair here. Yeah, I have a leather chair. So, but we kind of like, and we can creak. See how this chair creaks? If you're doing it on top of a car door, it's going to sound like a metal creak. That wood creak is gonna be enhanced by the metal, and it's going to sound amazing. So you can do that and kind of like creak the chair against the car door, and it sounds like the train almost. But the big train sound, the whoop whoop, the horn, the train on the tracks, that's all done by computer. So that's not done by us. We would do the sound of, we did the sound of the, like I said, the seat, the train, like underneath creaking, and then I don't have an actual Chinese box, but most stages have those, most Foley stages. So I'm using this just to show you, but it's just a little wooden box, right? And if I don't hold it tight, it sounds very hollow. When I hold it tightly, it sounds a little smaller. And I can take either a wet car chamois, which sounds very goopy like food, or you can use a wet paper towel, which is what I have here. And you just put it inside the box. One track that we did was just the food inside the box, which would sound like this. And another track would be to take the chopsticks, which I don't have any here, but if we had chopsticks, and
Senna wants to know, did you use real chopsticks for the actual?
We did. We have real chopsticks. Like most Foley stages will have a lot of things that you don't have to create, but a lot of Foley stages don't. So you have to be prepared to make the sound with things that aren't necessarily on the stage. That's what I'm kind of showing you right now. So if I didn't have a Chinese box, which I did for the movie, and if I didn't have chopsticks, I could use, you know, like something like.
I remember you saying the reason why it's a Foley artist is even if you had a Chinese box, sometimes that doesn't sound right. Like if you actually have a real thing, so then you're thinking.
That's right. Exactly. And you know, like I don't have chopsticks here, but I can put these little wooden sticks together and kind of, if I just tap on them like this, they can sound like chopsticks. So sometimes if you're not hearing the chopsticks when I'm putting them in the box, we'll do a separate track of just wood clinks like this. So then you're hearing a lot of wood clinks through the scene, which makes your mind go, oh, they're using chopsticks. I can see they're, you know,
the magic.
It's the magic. And if you don't have real food, and if say they couldn't hear the food when I was just doing it in the box, I would just take it and do a whole track of like, anytime they dug in there, you know, and I could make it sound like that. And also then when they eat, we do chewing sounds. So when they're chewing, we'll put a piece of food in our mouth. We have food all over the stages so that we can eat, and we will make the sound of like.
That has to be funny when you're watching your own movies. You're like, that was me chewing.
That's my, and I can tell my sounds of eating. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people in the chat saying they're never going to watch movies the same again. So cool.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No, in a good way. They're saying this
in a good
is so
way.
cool. honestly,
Yeah.
it's about fresh perspective in any creative activity we do, and
So
the
much.
and that's what keeps it interesting, right?
So much. That's so true. That's so true. It's so
I have a question.
Go for it, Cindy. And then maybe you guys, hey, while Cindy asked her question too, you guys be thinking about maybe if you'd like, you could create a sound with your screen off, and then Anita, you
That's
can kind of like
cool.
you can test her knowledge, and all of us could guess in the chat too. That could be something.
That's awesome. Yep.
Oh, okay. My question was when you finished your first movie, other than your brothers, like your first time doing a Foley artist in a movie, how did it feel? Like, did you watch it afterwards?
Yep. I watched it afterwards, and it feels like you've created a work of art. That's how it feels, because it's so intricate. All the sounds you're putting in there are so intricate, and so they enhance the movie so much that when I've actually listened to it without Foley, and then they play the Foley with it, and I'm like, that's amazing. That is amazing. It just makes it come alive.
What was the first movie or series have you done?
The first one? Oh my goodness, I can't think that long ago. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? Some of the first ones I did were I don't know if you guys remember Rugrats, Wild Thornberries, all those animated movies. Super, super, super fun. Every sound you do for an animated show is so much fun. It's just like, because you get to really play, and you get to make the sound funny and silly and animated, as opposed to like a real sound. You know what I mean? So that cartoons are really fun. Yeah.
We have students that love animation, and it's cool
animation, Foley animation. They do it at Warner Brothers. They do it, well, pretty much every major studio will have some animation they're doing. So that's fun. That's fun to watch.
Did you ever consider voiceover work? Or was that just completely a whole different? I'm just curious, because you use your voice.
Well, the funny thing is I learned Foley 2 months after I moved out here. So I never was offered that opportunity. Right. But once I learned Foley, I was like, game over. This is my career. I love it. I want to get better. I want to be so good. I want to really work hard. And so I never really thought about it. This is just like the choice I made. It just fulfilled everything that I needed. So yeah, I didn't really look into that, but that would be a really cool business to do. Yeah, that would be cool.
I think everybody wants, that's their dream, is to work a job that they love and they don't feel like it's work, right? And so what I feel is key. Like, us teachers and educators are always sharing our perspective on that. But what do you think is key to finding that job where you could not have planned your, in high school, you weren't saying I'm going to be a Foley artist, but what do you think is something that led you that way?
I think keeping your mind open. I think being open to possibilities that come your way that maybe you're like, nah, that doesn't sound, but give things a try. If you don't already know what you want to do for the rest of your life, then just be open and give things a try. That's what I did. And when my brother said, do you want to learn how to be a Foley artist? I just got my degree in psychology. So I was like, well, I don't know. And I tried it. I just thought, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see. And when I learned about it and I started training and trying, it became like everything. I just wanted to get better and better and better. So I think just keeping an open mind and allowing possibilities that you might not even think you might love, just try them. Yeah.
New experiences, right?
Yep.
Do you, are there risks involved? I'm always hoping students would get outside their comfort zone and take some risks so that they could have those new experiences. You still find yourself doing that in some way?
I do. I do. I try, I love that saying, do something that scares you every day, just a little bit, just something that you don't feel comfortable, just every day, do something little. And I believe that with careers, and I believe that with relationships and everything. And I think that you just,
You
know,
grow.
you have to take risks, and just, if you don't like it, then, oh, well, then you tried it at least. But to not, you know, take that risk is, I don't know,
That's regret, right? I always say, what's worse, rejection or regret? Which one's worse, rejection or regret? I asked my students this a while back recently, and they all, most of them said regret. And I was so proud of them, because a lot of times their knee-jerk reaction is to say rejection. I'm like, oh,
right.
Because if you don't try it, then you'll start thinking, what if?
That is right, because rejection, you can overcome. You can overcome that. Try it again until you get it. But regret, that's a rough thing, because, you know, and that's why you just open yourself to possibilities, try new things, so that you don't regret not trying. Yeah.
Wisdom. Thank you for that wisdom. It's 6 o'clock. I don't know. Like, do you guys want to play that game really quick? Do you want to try to?
Oh, I want to play.
You want to play? Like, in the chat, be like, I'm down. There's the, this one takes like 10 seconds. So while you guys are thinking about your object, there's this other one.
Could I go first? I already chose.
So, yes. Okay, perfect. Hold on. Let me not share my screen. Hold on, Cindy. So, Cindy, make sure you take your video off though, so we can't see any objects that you have. Bye, Zoe. I know some of you guys could only stay until 6. Thank you guys so much for being here. That did show up tonight and add to this experience, this new experience we're having. And
bye, you guys.
Great. But if you want to stick around and do a little Foley game, that's
wow.
Okay, there, I stopped.
Okay. Did we all get to guess?
Yeah. Feel free to guess in the chat too. And while Anita you can interpret what that sound is also, like what you might use that for. Whatever you want to do, Anita.
Okay. I'll wait to find out what it is. I want other people to say it before I do.
Someone's very close. It's very close.
We have, I guessed, banging on a chair or table. Savannah has tennis racket hitting your hand. Ariana says shoe or book. It's a good running sound. Mrs. Ciceri says thumping on a book. So we have book or table, or tennis racket. We have those guesses.
None of you got it right, but I was banging it. It was on. Oh, you can guess first before I say it.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was you tapping something on a table. I don't know what. It's an object, not your hand. Maybe like a book hitting a table.
Do you want to hear it one more time?
Yeah. It sounds like a book hitting a table.
But it's not.
Oh, what is it?
Show us. Now do it again with your camera.
Your mouth. Oh.
And it's hitting like the chair right here.
That's a good one. You know what that would be good for is a turn signal sound. You just gave me an idea. If I had to do a turn signal, the way you were doing it almost sounded like a turn signal for a car.
It was like,
that's cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it. Yeah.
That's cool. Anybody else want to do one?
Yeah,
Yes, Anna, go for it.
Okay.
We're all ears.
I don't think she can guess this one. I don't think.
Okay. Let me hear.
Okay. Can you hear that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me hear.
You want me to do it again?
Oh, go ahead. Oh my gosh.
Sounds like a drawer opening.
That's what it sounds like to me too. Yeah.
Could you do it again?
Yeah, sure.
It does sound like a eraser also.
Yeah,
It's not.
These are the
Or
guesses.
a nail file.
Oh yeah. Like a nail file, but like against something else, not
Against
nails.
something else, almost like the drawer opening that you said. Yeah.
Maybe it's more than one noise at the same time.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Anita, before you guess, here's the guesses that have been put out there.
Okay.
Puppy, sounds like a chair, rolling chair, eraser. Do you want to show us, Savannah? Or do you want to
Yes,
guess?
they're all good guesses. That's kind of, yeah.
So it's my ring against a table, and I'm on my laptop, so I can't bring my, and I have a case of markers that when you shake it, it makes like a crazy noise. Quick.
Oh, that's awesome. That was a really cool sound. You know what? You could use that sound. If you were a Foley artist, you could use that sound as if you put that thing of markers against a piece of wood, it can almost sound like a drawer opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you didn't have a drawer on your stage, which a lot of stages don't, you could use that as something to make that sound. That's the whole point of Foley. That's why it's an art, is the creativity of saying, this is what I have. Let me see if I can make it sound like a drawer opening. Because that's exactly what it sounded like, you know?
Savannah, could you show us one more time? I'm gonna take a screenshot. Wait a second.
You want me to show
The markers, yeah. And like the ring. Just pick it up. Okay. I was just looking for the button.
And I've got multiple rings. Hold on. It was this one.
Okay, there. I finished.
And what was making the sound of the nail file sound? What was that?
My ring. It was scraping against my table.
Okay. So if you had to do a nail file or sanding something, it would be doing something like that where your sound mixer's like, that sounds exactly like filing your nails. And you're like, whoa, but I'm just doing this with my ring, you know? So it's those kinds of things. And once you learn that makes that sound, you remember it, and then you do it in the future, you know? Yeah, that's really cool.
Wow. This is so cool. Did anybody else want to do one before we have to depart?
Oh,
I don't know if Cindy got her picture for the yearbook. I don't want to forget. Did we do that?
Before we depart, we have to have a mini photo shoot.
Why don't we do that right now? And then I'll ask one more time if anybody wants to do the sound thing, and then yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
So,
I don't go to a light. Should I just keep my camera?
Yep, perfect. Perfect.
Oh, do you want your picture taken, Savannah? Because I took a screenshot earlier when we were.
I don't care. I just don't go to the same. I don't go to a light, so I don't know.
For my alumni students. Well,
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, you're still gonna be in the yearbook. It's fine.
The artists stick together, and it only has the first name, so it's like that's cool.
I was wondering if Anita, could you hold up like your award?
Yeah.
I wanted to take a picture of it.
So Kylie, do you want to control the view?
Cindy, you do have it on gallery view, right? For everybody?
Yeah, I already have it in gallery view. I've been taking screenshots all throughout the thing.
Okay, so
Okay, one.
Can you see?
1, 2, 3. Okay, there I took. Well, okay, now let's do what's poses? I want to pose it. One word.
Anita, still just pose.
You have to hold the Emmy.
Pose with my Emmy?
Yes, please.
Okay, there. I think we have enough photos now.
Do you guys want to end with me showing you a couple little Foley things real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do it real quick.
Thank you.
You know, like when you're watching like a medical program, and they have the that bag, like somebody's laying on a bed and they have that like that bag. You can just take a water bottle, right? And you kind of put it like this, and you go. So, and you make the rubber sound as you squeeze it, and it, so we're not using a real AMPA bag. We have on our stage, we have, okay, like if we're gonna eat, we take either a chamois or we take some wet paper towel, and we take a fork and we just kind of like, and we squeeze this as we put this in so that if someone sets their fork down on their plate. So if you're watching a movie and you're seeing a dinner scene, you're not really hearing them eating dinner. That's all Foley. So they don't,
I have a couple questions about
Sure.
it's about medical dramas also. I love them so much, but how would you do the flat noise? Would it just be would it be just the machine?
If you were doing the what noise?
When the person died, the flat line?
Yeah, no, that would be done on a computer, because that's like a beep. That has to be a very realistic tone that they probably get from a real one, and then they cut it on a computer. Yeah,
I have a couple questions.
We would do the sound on we would do the sound of a hospital bed. We would do the sound of
cutting into.
Cutting
When you
into.
cut in-
Yep. We would take a chamois, and we would do if they're doing surgery, and we do some goopy noises with the chamois. One track. Another track, we would do a little you just take something sharp and just kind of just rub it against your skin, and it sounds like surgery.
How do you do stabbing noises? So weird questions, but
that is, you do one track of a gush with a chamois, and one track of if you take a metal object, we have knives and stuff on our stage, and if you hit it into the cement and kind of scrape it, it can sound like going through
sometimes, when they have fighting scenes with swords, it sounds kind of like they're cutting through the air. How would they do that?
Do you remember when you were watching Jodie with those things at the very beginning? She was going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. We have these, they're called they're just bamboo, long bamboo things in different sizes. Some are thicker, some are really thin, and when you go through the air like this, it makes that whoosh whoosh sound. So depending on how thick you have it and what the show calls for, that's how we do those sounds. And we have real swords on our stage. A lot of them are not super sharp, right? They're just for
dull ones.
They're dull ones, yeah, and they're metal, but they make a really good sword sound. We have if somebody has a seatbelt, we have seatbelt noises. So if somebody's attaching a seatbelt, we have those doggy collars. If the dog has a collar, and if the dog is walking, we do their paws, either with our long nails if we have long nails, or we have gloves with fake nails attached to them that we can use.
Ingenuity.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
I feel like I can go on and on about questions, so I'll stop.
I know.
It sounds like you're very passionate about this.
I don't want to be the bad guy, but we did. I know Anita has schedules too, and you guys, I couldn't be more grateful for all of you guys showing up. And Anita, thank you for sharing all this creative stuff. And you're so inspiring.
So welcome.
You're so inspiring, and
I just have one last thing to say.
Yes, Anita.
Well, this is about the podcast, because I was wondering, could your partner come on the podcast to talk about being a Foley artist, or do you think she wouldn't have time?
Well, it would be something that I could ask.
In April or March?
I could ask them. Yeah, I could see. Would you want? How many people do you want for the podcast?
Oh, it is. It could be however many could come.
Okay.
Usually, it can't be more than we can't have more than amount of people on StreamYard. But if it's too much, then we go on Zoom, so it's fine how many people
Okay.
want.
Okay. I can.
The
see
more
I'll
the
ask
merrier.
around. Okay. All right. I'll ask around and I'll let your teacher know. Okay, and we'll see if I can get somebody to do it.
No, it's just
Okay.
so it opens.
Thank you.
It opens their world, you know.
It does.
Having
You're
these
welcome.
experiences. So thank you so much for
Oh my
sharing
God!
your
Of
perspective,
course.
your passion with us, and yeah, and
You
again,
are so welcome. It was my enjoyment. I love this. This was great. This is great, and you guys all sound very passionate about it, and that's cool. You should. My advice would be to go to a studio and just check it out live and see how they do it. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
guys.
evening, rest of your evening, and good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I hope you have a lovely day.